So Robert, but you have the option to turn off your camera also, if I remember correctly. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, my mic was off. Please bear with me. We're about to start our digital talk, our expert series, as we move forward to ensuring that we educate our people so that they're knowledgeable about the digital economy, what it is, what's in it for them, and how they can use it in the best possible way. So, to start off, I just want to say that Hurricane Maria highlighted the need to make the private sector, private citizens, government, and citizens itself more resilient so that we can better prepare for and respond to incidents and to restore operations quickly after significant impacts. COVID-19 also had the same impact on all of us. While we were at home, we were unable to conduct business seamlessly or what I call frictionlessly. We had to stand in multiple long lines to receive much needed services and handle money that could have been infected. Therefore, the government of Dominica recognizes the role of the digital technologies and solutions can play in strengthening the island and its citizens with regards to climate resilience, as well as the importance of integration of global digital economy to expand markets and to drive sustainability, business, government, and individuals. The Caribbean Digital Transformation Project is funded through the World Bank and aims to enhance the use of technology in the public sector to conduct business transactions, build a robust and resilient IT infrastructure, and to develop modern platforms to facilitate and enhance these businesses' transactions. The project development objectives are to increase access to digital financial services, and that's one of the reasons why we're here this evening, technologies and skills by governments, business, individuals, and also through the participating Caribbean countries, including Dominica. National level activities will be financed from a credit to Dominica in the tune of 28 million US dollars. The Caribbean Digital Transformation Project comprises of multiple components to address key bottlenecks for the development of the Eastern Caribbean economy as a driver for growth, job creation, and improved service delivery. It aims to ensure that every individual and business in Dominica is empowered with access to broadband, digital financial services, and much needed activity to actively participate in increasing digital marketplace and also in society. It leverages public sector modernization and digitization to improve service delivery and to drive creation of digital cultures across Dominica. On that note, it really gives me great pleasure to introduce Helen Gradstein. She is the digital financials expert and finance specialist covering the Eastern Caribbean for the United Nations Capital Development Fund, based in the Port of Spain and Tobago. She is an expert in digital finance and financial inclusion and is passionate about ensuring financial inclusion, policies and programs, protect consumers, empower women, and support financial capability. As part of the new global initiative entitled Leveraging Digital Finance to Increase Resilience, signed by the OAS and Pacific states and funded by the European Union, Ms. Gradstein coordinates a range of grant-funded activities to stakeholders across the Eastern Caribbean to achieve digital financial inclusion goals. In a previous role, she worked as a financial specialist at the World Bank, served as Secretariat for the Financial Inclusion Global Initiative, and offered publications on enabling fintech, financial inclusion, financial education, and related initiatives like geospatial mapping and testing of fact statements. She can be reached at Helen Gradstein at UNDP. So now I am going to turn over to Helen to make her wonderful presentation.
Thank you so much, Robert, for the introduction. And I'm very happy to have the opportunity to be presenting here today. And I'm also presenting among other colleagues, Ms. Johnson from the ECCB, who I recently had the pleasure of also participating in another panel as well with the WFP, who I believe will be presenting on Dcash, as well as our colleague from Phoenix from Aml with the innovative wallet that they are also utilizing. So I think the purpose of today's discussion, and Robert, let me know, if this is in line or how you would like to format, and if you have any questions that come about, but I wanted to maybe talk a little bit more about the cashless economy and mobile payments, both that are happening around the world, as well as, in Dominica and the Eastern Caribbean, and maybe do a little bit of defining and some myth busting and really explore deep what it means to make these mobile payments and why people are shifting towards transacting through mobile wallets, and what are the benefits and what are the risks, if any. There are a few.
So thank you very much for that. Unfortunately, I'm turning on and off my mic because we have tons of rain falling, showers of blessing, and I hope that it's not too much and no one gets impacted. But I think one of the first questions is that people are going to ask is, what is cashless payments? What is a mobile wallet? Because a lot of people are maybe hearing this for the first time and they want to better understand what that truly means.
Yeah, that's a great question. And before diving deep into the world of mobile money, we definitely need to have this shared understanding of what a cashless payment means anyhow. And I assume most people have seen some type of cashless payment being done in some shape or form, but it can be e-commerce, online payments, using a debit card. But in essence, and so that we're all somewhat on the same wavelength, the way I would define a cashless payment is just making a payment via digital means. That includes bank transfers, debit cards, credit cards, online purchases, digital banking, using a QR code to purchase, and of course, mobile wallets and mobile money, which is an increasingly popular way to make digital and cash payments around the world. Oh, sorry, Robert, I think you might be on mute.
Sorry. So I was saying thank you very much for that in terms of what really is a cashless payment system. And the next question would really be, why would someone want to use such a system?
Yeah. Why would someone want to use the system? Well, we're seeing this big shift, and I think the digital transformation is really a question of when, not if. And so we're seeing the big shift to cashless payments being made all around the world for a myriad of reasons. And many people are using, for instance, QR codes around the world, or tap payments made through their cards or mobile phones. And the reason why people are using this, on one hand, is it's offering more convenience, in a lot of cases, much more safety and security in terms of your information, as well as time savings when you're transacting through your day-to-day. And what we've seen around the world is that this has actually just accelerated throughout COVID-19. Prior to COVID-19, in so many different economies, people were using a bit more cash. Of course, in some economies, they were already digital leaders, and we can take the case of Singapore and, for instance, China with their QR payments. But I think COVID-19 accelerated both the development and establishment of core financial and ICT infrastructures and faster payment systems to build the rails for contactless payments. But it also really shifted everyone to start using contactless payments, cashless payments as well. And the reason is, at the beginning of COVID-19, there was want to be social distance and to maintain distance and not necessarily be using cash. And I think that convenience that it started to offer by making payments at home began to spread. So now we're seeing a much bigger cashless payment society than we did before. And today is actually the day, as you noted, I had used to work at the World Bank prior to joining the UNCDF. And for those who are following the global Findex data, today is actually the day of the global release of the 2021 Findex data. And I think it was released around 9 a.m. this morning. And if you look through the data, we can see just huge jumps across almost all economies. Of course, there's some exceptions, and I'm sure there are very good reasons, but a lot of economies have made a huge jump from 2017 to now in their use of accounts and use of payments.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. When you say contactless payment, could you also explain, and just for those who have no idea, what does that really mean? Is it means that you're not just touching money? You're not. Are you? What does that truly mean? And what are the different options as it relates to that? And are there different types of systems, like I paying someone directly or I paying a business? How does that work?
Yeah, sure. So let's also separate cashless payments from contactless payments. And perhaps I interwove the two in the previous question, but cashless payments in general are those payments in which you're using a digital mean, your debit cards, credit cards, transfers, QR codes, mobile money, etc. And a contactless mobile payment or a contactless payment is generally made either through your mobile or a debit card, where you're essentially just doing a tap or a nearby tap. And the technology behind a contactless payment, and particularly contactless mobile payments, which are a very popular way to make contactless payments, it's underpinned by this technology called near-field communication, which means that it's used in smartphones and particularly in applications that to essentially hold your phone very close to a POS machine or a card or POS machine reader, and essentially any type of payment terminal to purchase your goods. So you're not actually making contact, you're not putting your chip, inside, you're not swiping your card, which has been open to some elements of security risks and fraud because of the way that the magnetic strip is taken. Instead, you're doing this contactless payment by using this technology called the near field communication technology. And it essentially establishes that connection between your mobile phone and a payment terminal in some type of close proximity, frequency identification. And then it sends essentially the data from your phone to the payment terminal. And then once the consumer has validated their identity, either through passcodes or fingerprints, however you're using your instance, the money is transferred to the account from your account using tokenization to replace the sensitive data to really protect personal data. So there are, in essence, and you're saying, what are the different types of options?
Okay, so just for clarity, guys, I'm not seeing Helen, so let me just double check and make sure that she's there.
Can you hear me though? Okay.
Yeah, for a short second you cut off, so maybe my connection. So my apologies for that. So let me just bring you back up. Did you get a chance to explain to persons what peer P2P P2B B2P? Because sometimes people hear all of these terminology and they're really not sure what these things mean. But I know they're relatively simple to a certain extent.
Sure. So these are just types of payments that could be made P2B, P2P, but essentially what we're talking about is P2P is often coined P2P, but it's person to person payments. P2B is
Okay.
person to business, business to person, B2B, government to person, which is a big area of interest in the world of financial inclusion, the world which I hope to be in the international conversation in. But in essence, government to person as well. And government to person, person to government. Government to person payments often means, for instance, social welfare payments or pensions, whereas person to government could mean taxes, etc., collecting revenue from person to governments. And one big area of interest is digitizing all of these different payment streams around the world. And one way that people are doing this or governments are doing this is often through mobile payments and digital payment methods as well.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
Mhm.
So again, the rain is falling hard, but my next question is, all of that being said, how do these wallets, how do they work?
Yeah. Yeah, what is a mobile wallet? And you're right, we were jumping around, and let's what is this mobile wallet that is starting to become offered across Dominica and really around the world. And when we're talking about mobile wallets, you know, we're talking about a wallet that's on the phone. But, a bajillion years ago, back in the day, we were using our phones primarily to call people, which now seems, very antiquated. And now cell phones and smartphones are becoming ubiquitous with internet access devices. They're offering chat tools, email tools. You're using your phones or I'm sure if it's not you directly, I'm sure someone or your children, but to take all these pictures, go use TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. You have flashlights and calculators and compasses, games. Now there's money management tools and different apps for different purposes. And one of the increasingly popular purposes that are on these mobile phones are also mobile wallets. And the mobile wallet is in essence the digital way to store your payment information, including your account details, your credit cards, your debit cards, IDs, gift cards, etc., all on the mobile phone. And it allows for purchases to be made using a mobile smart device rather than a physical card or cash. And again, this can be done using contactless technology as well. Um, so all around the world and increasingly in the Caribbean, mobile money is one of the most promising tools to enable individuals, particularly those who are living in rural communities who are traditionally underserved by the financial sector, to partake more conveniently in the financial sector in general. And we're seeing the rise of mobile money and mobile wallets being positively correlated with maintaining financial resilience, being able to mitigate your shocks, being able to send money to your friends and families in need, and also just being able to make purchases a little bit more conveniently and easier. So in essence, through mobile money or through mobile wallets as well, you can deposit and withdraw, transfer money, purchase goods and services, all through your mobile phone. And in general, and of course, we're going to hear more from the other speakers today and how the products would work specifically in the case of Dominica. But in general, you can do this via using an SMS text message or through using your data. And you can do it through an agent or directly on your mobile phone. And it's where essentially your mobile wallet can be attached to a credit union or mobile network operator or separate network that you're able to then connect to and to store all of your information on and then to make payments. And so this is not new for those who are listening in and you're maybe asking yourself, so mobile wallets might be available, but should I really, is this a new technology and should I be testing myself with it? And I do want to caveat that mobile money has been around since the mid 2000s. Its debut really was in Kenya, although it was also in, I think, Indonesia and Tanzania at the same exact time. But the debut and what's really well known is Kenya and the M-Pesa model, which now nearly has universal coverage in Kenya, which is the mobile money model that's deployed there. And a similar model has been tried to become deployed worldwide as well. And there's been a lot of positive correlations with reduction in poverty and financial resilience when you do have these accessible accounts. And so now what we're seeing are these governments playing a big role in creating the strong infrastructure to enable these mobile wallets or mobile money products to be used for faster payment services and the infrastructure that's behind it in order to create a larger adoption of these mobile wallet or mobile money services. So let me know if that,
That's a great question, great answer, and I think you even touched on how is the money actually stored. And I like the idea that you said that it's been around for quite some time, because if some of us actually think, we'd realize that technically the ability to put money on your phone's account and to make calls, that is technically a wallet that the telephone company has, that is basically pulling money from your account. And the same thing actually applies to pay as you go on the on our electricity bills. You are basically putting money on a wallet, and they pull down money. They deduct the money for your usage every day. So technically, we have been using mobile wallets, but we're just not aware of it in the sense that we're basically talking about
sure. And
now.
it depends on the product too, and the type of product you're using. But it's also important to note that you're not like physically storing any cash on your mobile phone. A
Right.
lot of this technology is installed within the SIM card of the device that you're using, or it just can be used as an app that you're already using on your regular smartphone devices. And I know that in the case of the Eastern Caribbean, so many people already own smartphones. And so the products available, I think, in the market in Dominica are primarily forms of mobile wallets, just like as you mentioned. So you're able to download, connect your wallet using, an internet-enabled mobile device, and you manage your funds that way, and connect to either, if you own a bank account, connect it to the bank account, a credit union account through the credit union account, or if it's direct through the Dcash or central bank digital currency account. But I believe that has to be linked to an existing bank account. But in essence, through opening these mobile wallets, you can then store all this information and pay your bills or send money just by selecting the relevant services, probably on your mobile wallet menu. And and it could just be easy as sending a text message or doing any other act. And it can also be contactless in many cases. Just tap and pay, and move on.
Thank you very much for that. So my next question would be, in terms of the usage, how safe is it really, and should people be using mobile wallets? What can you say to that? What can you speak to that?
Yeah, are mobile wallets secure? And I think around the world, there's been some hesitation sometimes in shifting over to using mobile phones or mobile wallets to make payments because, what happens when the network is down? What happens when my phone loses battery? There's all these questions. But mobile wallets are really secure. And for those who might already be using cards in the market, for instance, the security of mobile wallets are far more secure than cards, because when you swipe a card, your magnetic strip is easy to read by a magnetic scanner, and I'm not sure if anyone's been victim to having your card details stolen, but in the case of mobile wallets, all of those transactions are always encrypted. So your card or your account numbers are never shared with any merchant. And also, and there's different types of encryption for your accounts or your card numbers. And then in addition, it requires that extra level of security because you're going to have to use like either a PIN or a fingerprint or facial recognition, however you're opening your phone, to enable the payment to be made. And if you're very concerned about security, you can also enable two-factor authentication too, in order to be even more protected. And of course, I'm not saying that cards are not secure. I mean, everything, cards and mobile wallets are generally much more secure than cash, where you're actually victim to, for instance, theft, or you can just lose the cash in general. But you know, there, and also when you're using contactless card payment systems too, that's also very secure as well. But in general, it's quite secure. You know, especially when you're comparing it to cash, because security, I think, particularly for business owners, might be a large concern. And I think that's why we see so many people also making the shift. You know, why? And I'm happy to launch in this to it as well, because the risks go directly into the benefits of why you would use a mobile money service or a mobile wallet in general. And you know, one of the big reasons, among others, that we see the shift is a security reason, that your physical wallet, when you're using cash, is vulnerable to theft, but your mobile wallet, really, it's not that easy to steal. If you lose your physical wallet, you know, the best case scenario is that you didn't have a lot of cash in your wallet and you realize quickly enough to delete or to, you know, change and call the numbers to cancel any cards or to cancel anything before any theft, you know, or any would-be thief takes advantage of the situation. But if your phone goes missing, no one can really reach in and take your money or any of that information, because all of those transaction details and the information is often either encrypted or requires personal information in order to open it. And for business owners in general, when we're talking about security, just in a physical sense, you know, if you're operating only in cash, you might be susceptible to robbery, and you're physically transporting all of this cash and holding it in your registers all the time. But when you're transitioning to cashless payments, or, you know, enabling people to use mobile wallets, it's reducing the physical cash that's going directly into your, you know, into your register, reducing the amount of physical cash you have to carry around. And instead, all of that cash is going directly into an account. And so, particularly in high crime areas, it can really help to keep you safe too. So that's some of the ways to think about security for mobile wallets.
No, definitely. Thank you very much for that. And I sincerely hope that many of the businesses are actually listening to that, because that is definitely a way not only to protect the company's money, but to also to protect the staff from, again, some violent attempts of robbery and stuff like that. Just the other day, I heard of a guy who got shot, and I didn't even know about it. It happened 2 or 3 years ago. But these things do happen. We don't hear about it, but it means someone is impacted, their family's impacted. So if we find ways, if there are ways to reduce the movement of cash, the amount of cash on premises, it makes a big, it's definitely a positive. And even from a theft standpoint within the organization, it helps to reduce that risk. But so it sounds like there's so many positive reasons why you should be doing this. So are there any negatives? Are mobile wallets risk-free? And are there any reasons why we shouldn't use a mobile wallet?
Yeah, and before jumping into the risks, I also want to say that there's some other good positives too, around just like convenience, having mobile wallets and cashless payments in general be just easier and quicker. You know, especially for business owners, you're checking out your customers more quickly. When you're using a range of cashless payment options too, you're much easier. It's much easier for you to manage your money, because all of those transactions then become recorded digitally, as opposed to kind of cash flows that you're unable to manage. So it really helps you with your accounting, you know, and particularly one very big benefit too, before jumping into the risks, that I also want to point out is on remittances. You know, it just makes it so much easier to send money to family or friends, you know, across the island, and in some cases internationally. And that's really important, particularly in areas where, for instance, across small island nations where you're disproportionately prone to natural disasters, to help with coping with shocks or emergencies, or being able to send money when there are times of need. And it's certainly more safe than, for instance, sending cash sometimes, which, depending on how you're sending the cash, if you're traveling yourself or if you're sending it with somebody, it can be sometimes risky in its own way. But what are the risks? It's a great question. And are there some risks? And yes, all forms of payment hold some level of risk. I would advocate that the risks of cashless payments and those of mobile wallets are less than some of the risks that we see with cash, for instance. But, similar to digital risks that we're seeing around the world as part of a digital transformation and the digital future, there's some risks around hacking and data breaches, and that is something to be considered. But in reality, the level of those types of risks, I would say and advocate that mobile wallets are generally safer than other payment forms, given that they're tokenizing this information in order to protect, the sensitive customer data a bit more and protect it against cyber threats. And they're using cryptograms and different types of authentication to add those extra layers of security. But other risks, I think, can be prevented. And so some risks that you might have heard about or some risks that some people have experienced are risks, it's true, generally some type of information theft, but a lot of it can be prevented using, just being very digitally vigilant. And so what do we mean? What we see a lot is that does take hold is like phishing scams or using weak passwords that people can guess or try to hack into. So we see most of the risks come and play out when owners or users are maybe downloading apps from unknown sources or opening a phishing text message. And just FYI, in case you get a phishing text message or a phishing message in general, and it's like one of those messages that just sound strange and you don't recognize it, just delete it. Don't click on any links. Pay attention to the URLs that you're browsing and try to use strong passphrases and not overuse the same passwords over and over again. And those are really the best way to reduce risks. And when you do these things, the risks for mobile wallets and cashless payments in general are pretty low.
No, definitely, and thank you for that. Actually, this month is actually Cyber Security Awareness Month, and actually, two members of our team actually joined the National Bank to basically talk about all of these things that you're talking about, and really and truly, in terms of protecting oneself, it starts with us in terms of like you said, the passwords, the sharing of passwords, and that type of stuff. So the government is also going to ensure that we do a lot of communication to ensure that persons are taught how to better protect themselves. So at least to protect them from theft and cyber theft, cyber the phishing and like you talk about. So if someone sends you an email, don't be too happy to just open that email. For me, I don't know who the email is. I just delete. If it's really important, they're gonna call me at some point in time. So my other question for you is that in terms of a lot of people talk about money laundering, how does having a mobile wallet help in any way with regards to mobile wallets? I know sometimes they have particular limits, and again, transactions can be tracked.
Sure. So AML CFT requirements are generally there to protect and to create a financially stable system to prevent, money laundering or terrorism. And so what happens is, depending on the country and depending on the regulatory system, there sometimes can be tiers. And these tiers of accounts, like low tier accounts, are generally deemed safe and therefore safer and therefore can require lesser forms of identification. And so I'm hoping that we'll hear from the products that are in the market today from our other panelists. But, in essence, what that means is that you might be able to open an account with just your wallet and maybe taking a picture of yourself through your mobile phone and sending it over for verification, and that's all you need. And then you'll be able to open an account that has a certain limit in terms of the amount of balance that you're able to keep inside and the amount, the limits that you're able to send back and forth to others. And the reason why those limits are put there is to internationally protect against money laundering and to flag or to make sure that these accounts aren't being used for any type of illicit purposes. But they're generally good practice around the world to have these tiered forms of accounts, that have different know your customer requirements. and also are set with particular limitations so that you can prevent and try to watch out for any type of illicit behavior.
Great, thank you for that. My final question would be, in terms of global perspectives, is there anything new that we need to know about from a Caribbean perspective?
Anything new from a Caribbean perspective? I mean, I think that there's a lot of really interesting things happening from the Caribbean perspective, and especially in Eastern Caribbean. One thing to note is that digital transformation, is happening everywhere, and we're seeing this integration of technology into all types of businesses, and it fundamentally is changing how businesses are operating or delivering products and services. And the same applies within the financial sector, and the same is applying currently within the digital transformation across the Eastern Caribbean, both in the Eastern Caribbean states, among other countries in the Eastern Caribbean, and Caribbean more broadly as well. And so what we're seeing are these new innovation areas, and the spread of kind of more familiar ones, including mobile money or mobile wallets, but new innovation areas and new applications of activities as well. For instance, digital currencies, central bank-backed digital currencies, which is quite interesting to see how the application will play out across the Eastern Caribbean. But around the world, we're seeing these modernized, from a global perspective, modernized and faster payment systems, building of stronger broadband, network connections, connecting to affordable data, really these digital rails that are kind of tried and tested, establishing digital ID, looking at APIs, integrating regulatory and supervisory technologies, and all of these elements. I think I commend governments across the Caribbean because there's a lot of promising steps that are being taken place to build these rails to deliver faster and more convenient and transparent services. And so now we'll most likely see the rise, just as our colleagues on this call are going to share today, on mobile-based digital payment technologies. And also across Latin America, we see QR type offerings, different types of digital banking. And around the world, we're seeing an increase of elements of insurtech and other fintechs as well, AI, robo advisory, etc. And these digital products and services are allowing for users to experience much more convenience and access and usage of a wider range of digital services that they might not have otherwise been traditionally offered. So I think in terms of final message, because I don't want to take up too much more time, but I know here in Dominica, and like I have been alluding to, you're going to hear from some of the other colleagues around what is available in the market. And I would like to mention that there's definitely no downside in just realistically trying to download, if you're eligible, if you have either a credit union account or a bank account or other type of account that might be discussed here today. So if you're eligible, you might as well try to download it and see if the mobile wallet, makes your life easier, etc. I think reasons why sometimes the ecosystem doesn't support opportunities to make these payments is sometimes related to agents or merchant networks that are accepting them, but it is an ecosystem approach, and hopefully the trend can catch on as the governments across the Caribbean are taking these strong steps to help shift the Caribbean to the digital future. And yeah, I hope that helps to set the stage.
Yes, Helen, thank you very, very much for that wealth of information. I hope the listeners are tuned in, and they're listening, and they're realizing that these are great opportunities for us as individuals, great opportunities for us as companies, and even for the government. So if the government is able to make payments to all the different governments in most of the Caribbean countries, as one of the larger employers. So it means if you could actually pay all of these, it will help in terms of mass adoption. So thank you very, very much for your fantastic presentation. And now we're going to actually turn on to Karina Johnson, who's going to do a presentation and talk about Dcash. She is the project manager of Dcash pilot system. So Karina, welcome to our Digital Expert Series.
Hi, good night. Thank you for having me. Just before I begin, I've never used Restream's platform before. I wanted to share a presentation, so just bear with me. I'm not sure if my laptop supports it.
Sure, no issues.
Yeah, I'm using the share screen option, but I'm not seeing my presentation available to be shared. I have it open in a separate window.
Okay. Well, in life, we always have to learn. So this is also new to me, so I can't give you what we have an expert here, Mr. Benfield, so he will provide you some information to assist.
Yes. Hi, Karina. Can you hear me?
Hi, I'm hearing you.
Yes, it's okay. Great. So once you open it and you click on share screen, you'll see a pop-up that says entire screen, window, and Chrome tab. You have to ensure that the PowerPoint presentation is in a miniature format and not necessarily closed. If it's not closed, if it is closed, it wouldn't pop up. So just open it, minimize in a minimized form, and then you can select it as a tab and show it. So just minimize the window, but ensure that it's opened and not necessarily fully minimized.
1 second. 1 second. I see you have. Okay, I see it.
Good. But she's choosing the entire screen. Just choose window. Just select window instead of choosing the entire screen. So unshare,
Okay.
and then choose the window. Right. So when you click on share screen, instead of choosing the entire screen tab, click on window and you should be fine.
It's not giving the option to select the window that you want to share. It just shares.
Oh, I think it's because the PowerPoint tab is not minimized. So yeah, I think that's it. Oh, she's on a Mac.
On a Mac, yeah.
That complicates
Is
your
that the
life
source of our
further.
problems? Okay, so we'll go along without the presentation then.
Sure, no problem. Let me
Just unshare, right.
Yes.
Good. So please bear with me and my apologies. So again, thank you for the opportunity to speak as part of your DIGI-TALK series. I am speaking on behalf of the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, and we are the regulatory and supervisory authority for the
Sorry, yeah, go ahead.
Are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so just in brief, the ECCB, the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, we are the regulatory and supervisory authority for the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union, which comprises of 8 territories in the Eastern Caribbean. So we are a subunit of the wider Caribbean community. And so in March of 2021, we launched to the public the digital version of the Eastern Caribbean currency under the brand name of DCash. In launching to the public, we first introduced DCash to 4 islands: Grenada, St. Kitts and Nevis, Antigua and Barbuda, and St. Lucia. Since then, we've rolled it out to the other territories, including St. Vincent, Montserrat, Dominica. We rolled out DCash through the National Bank of Dominica in December of 2021. And today, we have the distinct pleasure of having introduced DCash to the citizens and residents of Anguilla, which is the last of our 8 territories. Just checking, are you still hearing me?
Yes, we are.
Good. And so all of that to say, DCash is the digital version of the Eastern Caribbean dollar. We, the ECCB, we mint it and we issue it And it is, in fact, legal tender, having the same legal status and protection as physical Eastern Caribbean currency. In this way, we have a number of advantages. It continues to enjoy the one-to-one parity with the Eastern Caribbean dollar. And so what that means, simply put, is that in your Dcash wallet, whenever you open it, whatever the amount of funds you have added to your wallet, there are no surprises on any given day when you open your wallet. If you have funded your wallet with 10 Dcash, you will have 10 Dcash. And I know for many of us in the Caribbean who are tuned to the crypto world, there's a lot of shock at the volatility that we experience with crypto assets. And this is one of the major advantages and distinctions of a central bank-backed digital currency. These are not speculative assets, and so they do not have the volatility that crypto assets, which are not backed by central bank reserves, the volatility that they attract. And so part of our motivations in launching the digital currency, as Helen averted to, is one, keeping in step with the move towards digitization writ large. We are also motivated by the need to modernize the ECCU's payment system. As it currently stands, the majority of transactions occur with cash, followed by checks. As most users of either of these two options will tell you, they are not necessarily the most convenient or the quickest, but they have, because of their long-standing usage, they have the most trust and confidence by the general public. And so this takes us to one of the challenges in introducing a entirely digital financial product. It's working with the public to increase confidence, to increase understanding of what this digital tool is, and to settle any doubts. And so, again, it comes back to the ECCB's role in this regard and the inherent trust as the regulatory authority for the ECCU. We ourselves are charged with ensuring and protecting the stability of the financial system. And so in this regard, this has influenced both the design and the regulation of the Dcash platform. In terms of the design, and I think, again, Helen, you mentioned it, we have a hybrid approach to regulation. We have built into our platform regulatory technology, which would allow for us to be compliant with KYC requirements, as well as to protect against money laundering and terrorism financing risks. Together with this, based on how we have designed the platform, we are also working with the financial institutions of the ECCU. And so for persons who choose to onboard via their financial institution who is participating in the pilot, there is the additional security safeguard of the embedded KYC requirements of your financial institution. And so this leads me to the other area that I would like to focus on. Among the motivations, in addition to increasing or modernizing our payment system, we were also motivated by the need to increase financial inclusion. Financial inclusion insofar as there are members of the population, the ECCU, who may be unbanked, who have no banking relationships with any financial institution, or else who may be underbanked. And so the Dcash platform provides one of two options for holding and funding a wallet. As mentioned, we have 21 participating financial institutions in the pilot to date, and this is a mixture of banks and credit unions. And so persons who hold bank accounts have the option of opening a Dcash wallet through a participating financial institution. Where this is done, the banks hold the primary responsibility for the KYC checks and for the onboarding of these Dcash users. Alternatively, we also offer the option to persons who have no existing banking relationships, whether they are unable to meet the requirements to open a bank account, whether they are unable to meet the minimum balance requirements to keep a bank account open, whether they are unable to, for instance, provide job letters to support an application because they are members of the informal sectors. So this second option allows for persons to apply to activate a Dcash wallet simply by downloading it from the app stores and then via the app submitting one piece of valid government issued ID and a front-facing photo, a selfie. And these two pieces of information will facilitate onboarding once they have met our KYC requirements. And towards this end, in addition to our regulatory technology, which is embedded within the platform, we also have, as part of our pilot, a number of agents throughout the islands. And so in respect of Dominica, our agent there is Big Edge Financial, and they provide that additional remote support for persons who are choosing the value-based wallet. These are wallets which would apply to persons who do not have pre-existing banking relationships. So we have both the embedded regulatory technology, and so we have a global database to ensure that we don't have persons who are, for instance, blacklisted accessing these wallets, persons who may be politically exposed, etc. In addition to this, we also have a human component in terms of our agents who also assist in verifying applications for persons who apply to have the value-based wallet. And so we have these two primary wallets, the registered base, which you access through your financial institution, and we have the value base. And so the value base will largely be attractive to persons who do not hold a bank account or who are not interested in linking their bank account to their Dcash wallet. So in this way, we see these options as really allowing us to reach to persons in the ECCU who may not be able otherwise to participate in the digital economy. Because if you don't hold a bank account, then chances are you will not be able to access a debit card or a credit card. So this is among the key motivations and objectives of the Dcash pilot, to extend the reach of our financial system to include persons who would not ordinarily be served by the banks and our credit unions. This is also exacerbated by the fact that we have seen a consolidation of our banking industry. We've also seen a move of major banks out of the rural areas in many of our ECCU territories to the urban areas. And so in a lot of our member states, persons may have to travel 2 and 3 different parishes in order to access funds in their bank accounts or to access an ATM. So these are some of the real world circumstances that you see digitization of financial services really being able to effect and impact. Aside from this, and I know Helen averted to earlier, within the Dcash pilot in our roadmap is also consideration and active work on developing a functionality which will allow for the receipt and processing of social assistance payments and other payments by governments, as well as for the receipt of payments to governments by citizens, G2P and P2G. Again, in this way, we understand the utility that this may afford to persons who are socially, economically vulnerable, ensuring that funds are provided to them in an efficient, in a speedy, in a transparent way. In terms of real world impact, we can see the utility of having such a functionality for the elderly who rely monthly on social assistance from governments, as well as it assists and it can potentially assist in mitigating elderly financial abuse, in that it provides an unalterable record of transactions of funds sent and received. So these, some of the design choices we've made so far with the pilot. Now that we have added Anguilla as the last territory, we are very keen to understand how Dcash can enhance the lives of regular citizens and residents, how it can impact the functions of government in the provision of services to citizens, as well as citizens vis-a-vis governments. We're also, and we have not forgotten, the importance of our merchant or business community, both our established large entities, as well as our single entrepreneurs, medium and small enterprises. And so again, to this end, another of the features of the Dcash platform is our e-commerce functionality, which we are in the process of unrolling. This involves, or this will facilitate, again, another entry point into the digital economy, in that it can facilitate digital payments via websites for businesses. And so in addition to allowing for point of sales transactions or remote sending, with e-commerce support for Dcash, we can also see merchants in one island being able to offer goods and services to persons who hold Dcash funds in other islands. And this again accords with the wider objective of facilitating and supporting regional economic integration. And this is one of the aspects of the Dcash pilot that we're particularly excited about, seeing how Dcash can work for entrepreneurs, for merchants, in extending their customer base, in facilitating cross-border trade within the ECCU. So in brief, we are at a stage where we are still trialing the Dcash platform. It is available and accessible to persons in all 8 territories. In addition to this, we are actively listening to our stakeholders and the wider ECCU population to understand how Dcash works and what are the challenges in making it work better. So this is where we are, and we welcome any comments, feedback, or questions you may have about Dcash. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that well thought out presentation. And I'm sure many of the businesses and small businesses will be very happy to hear about the e-commerce aspect, because that's an option that is missing in the Caribbean, and it's very difficult for the small mom and pop establishment to be able to capitalize on those. One thing I was not clear on is that you're in 8 territories. Can one send money to each of these territories, or it's confined to Dominica only? If you could just put some clarity in that.
My apologies for not being sufficiently clear there. So we're not ring-fenced in any way. We're not ring-fenced by being tied to any particular institution, by being in any specific jurisdiction. Provided that you have an active wallet even if you're not physically present in the ECCU. Once your wallet is active and you have an internet connection, you can transact with any other wallet holder, whether it be a consumer or a merchant. And for the duration of the pilot, these transactions attract no transaction fees, no costs associated with the usage, spending, receiving, funding of the cash wallets.
Okay, great. Karina, thank you very much. We really appreciate it because we can see that it looks like you're still in the office, while many of us are at our home. So thank you very much for taking the time to present to us. On that note, we would like to present Mr. Felix Benfield, who's going to do a presentation of Aml. He's the founder and CEO of Aml. Again, thank you very much, Karina.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ravi, and a pleasant good evening to everyone. And let me just greet my fellow colleague panelists and also those of the hundreds that are joining us online. It's certainly a pleasure to be here and to speak with you on the many solutions that the credit union movement continues to provide as a beacon of financial hope in the Caribbean. If I may just be presumptuous enough to sort of extrapolate the reason why Aml, because a lot of times, people come in and they ask us, why Aml, why put another system in place? And we ask the simple question, for example, and Helen mentioned about it, Karina mentioned also about it. It's about providing bankable options, alternatives to what is present. And what we've seen in the society that we live in is that once there is competition in the marketplace automatically is driven to develop based on the needs of the population. So when you have one player in the market alone that is providing a solution, you're tempted to just accept that as gospel, as that is the gold standard. But when you have critical players coming up in the marketplace, you are now forced to continually innovate, to listen to the grassroots, to hear from the persons which we serve, how we can evolve as an institution. And really the genesis of Aml stems really from our ethos as social institution drivers, as a credit union movement. We wanted to provide a solution, and coming from the throes of Hurricane Maria and Tropical Storm Erika, which decimated the agricultural sector and caused untold damages to our economy. In our case, we wanted, as part of building back better and building resilience. So when the focus was really on 2017 on building back better, the focus then was on building resilience in terms of physical infrastructure. But for us in the credit union movement, which within the first 2 weeks after the Hurricane Maria, we reopened to the public, it told us about an important lesson that we too, from an institutional perspective, that we needed to do something to also enhance resilience. And the resilience in this case is not just our ability to build back better, but our ability to bounce back as soon as a natural disaster happens. And so as part of our strategic plan as a movement, we wanted to look at how is it that we can enhance the digital channel, digital infrastructure usage within the credit union movement in Dominica, and by extension within the Caribbean, to see how is it, what product or program that we can put in place that would, one, reduce the associated transactional costs to the membership across the board, that enhances the lives and livelihoods of the persons we serve, the membership, that brings untold benefits in terms of cost efficiency, and also a platform that can be leveraged for businesses, for example, like quick delivery and all the other businesses that we serve in Dominica and those that we're going to serve across the region. We wanted to provide those bankable options that these persons can look at the credit union movement as another beacon of hope. And we spoke earlier about the consolidation in the financial space. You have institutions, financial institutions, pulling out of areas that they would not consider to be bankable. And in the credit union movement, particularly in the case of Dominica, and this really gives me extreme pride, that we have 25 branches and sub-branches spread all across the landscape of Dominica. And for the past 60 plus years that we've been in existence, we've not shuttered one single branch. in spite of the fact that we've consolidated from 21 credit unions to now 6 credit unions. We've not shuttered one single branch. And that really speaks to the untold benefits of being a credit union member, of being part of a significant movement in Dominica and a global player in the marketplace. Because we understand that the best way to serve the people is by meeting them at the point of their greatest need. And so Aml really is just another digital channel. It's just another avenue in which we can provide a greater service to the members. And when we speak of things like peer-to-peer, I mean, I could get into the nuances of what a digital wallet is, what an e-wallet is, what a mobile wallet is, and you can see how is it that we scale in terms of providing a more robust security apparatus in terms of protecting the users by using what we do at Aml. We use the gold standard of the provision of digital technology. So there's something called PCI DSS compliance, which speaks to putting in a robust security apparatus that allows the user to have the things or use the things or features that are unique to them. So you talk about biometrics, you speak about you talk about biometrics, you speak about passwords, you speak about PIN. And the difference, I mean, Helen mentioned a good part of it, is that what differentiates mobile wallets from your traditional other financial tools is that, for example, if you lose your wallet, you lose your money. In our case, if you lose your wallet, you don't, because you have to get past your entry point. You have to get past your PIN. If somebody tries your PIN more than twice and gets it wrong, your account is locked. They have to know the security questions. They have to know and be in possession of your KYC. And that is why we've implemented what we call a 2-tiered KYC structure, because we want to cater for the folks that just came out from under a rock and all they had was their smartphone. And so you can just simply go on the Play Store or the iOS store and download the Aml app and use it. But we have a tiered structure. So you enter a few KYC details, your name, your surname, number, and so forth, and you'll be able to transact up to a limited amount in value. Now, once you've upgraded your wallet, which is by entering additional KYC details, your government ID and address and so forth, our compliance team reviews that, and then you're upgraded where you can transact in larger volumes. And again, this is what responsible institutions do in terms of protecting payment system providers, and in our case, as responsible payment system providers. So with Aml, what really can you do? And we already have launched a few months ago our online platform, which allows home and goods. I'm just going to pull it up, which really allows users of the wallet to be able to, if you have an online portal, all right, if you have an online portal and you want to be able to shop online, we give our merchant partner the option of installing our plugin. So for example, you can actually go on a website, and I'm just pulling it up, the website, and I'm going to show you. You can actually go on a website and you can just simply add your cart, add whatever it is that you're going to the cart, and then you can view your cart and you can check out and pay with your Aml. So it is, we're not speaking here futuristic. Here we are speaking about what is already available to the users. So here I'm going to, let me see if I can I should be able to share my screen. So let me just go there quickly, just to give you an idea as to what we're looking at. All right, so I'm going to go here. Just give me a nod when you can see. Can you see my screen? Could somebody just tell me? Yeah. No, you can't. You can unmute, Helen. You can unmute.
Okay, better now.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, great. All right, I just wanted to. All right, so I'm going to reshare again so that you can see. You can see my screen. All right, just there. Okay, great. So here we are at AMD Home and Goods, and just to give you an idea as the payment e-commerce payment plugin option operates for our merchants. So, for example, I'm on this site AMB, which is a local shopping center here in Dominica. So here you can scroll down adhesives, building materials, electrical, etc. And I'm going to go on building materials. So I want to get this hurricane anchor. Of course, we're in a hurricane season, so I can shop on shop my hurricane anchor. So I just simply add to my cart, and here I go on view cart. So when we go on view cart, you can see everything that you have in your cart here. And then I just simply proceed to checkout. Once you click on proceed to checkout, you will have the option where you can now do a cash on delivery. And I think that is where our good friends at my fellow colleague on the panel may speak a little bit about. So you can do a cash on delivery, or you can select Aml payment. And once you select Aml payment and you enter your information, you just simply go in and put in your Aml mobile number, your PIN, and then you get a confirmation as to what we call an OTP, which is a one-time password. So it is not like, for example, at this point, if you were shopping with your traditional debit card, you would just simply enter your 16 digits of your debit card, your address, and the 3-digit code at the back, and it will be processed. But in this case, when you click on the Aml payment, it redirects you to the Aml payment portal. You would enter your information, and then it would send a time-sensitive one-time password to your phone. So if the person using knows your information and they don't have access to your phone, they cannot complete that payment there. So that essentially gives us the option of using the online portals for the merchants that already have. We also have the normal scan QR system, which is in branch, and you would see a lot of the stores in Dominica have Aml accepted here. You can just simply go up and scan and pay. And also you can also do it remotely. So if you're at home, for example, you order something and you have quick delivery that is going to deliver it, you can pay quick delivery from your, I have to mention it. You can pay quick delivery from your Aml wallet from your home, or when that driver comes up to your doorstep, you can just simply pull up quick delivery on the app and pay. So the rider does not have to deal with cash. They don't have to make any change or anything, and everything is done in what we call near real-time solution. One of the other benefits that we see on the application that is really popular is the aspect of what we call interoperability. So we're able to integrate with any core banking system, any developed API system. So for example, we have integrated with Dowasco, which is our water company, and you can just simply enter that 10-digit Dowasco number on your Aml app, and it pulls up all of your information. With the last time you paid, what is your balance, and when you pay, and so forth. And then you can now decide to make a partial payment or a full payment. And so that saves you the line of having to go to the Dowasco physical. You can also top up your digital phone. You can also top up your Flow phone, and very soon you'll be able to pay your Flow bill. So this is really extending our reach as a credit union outside of the brick and mortar approach. And yes, I see a question from Sanchez, I think it's maybe St. Louis. Is there a Aml WordPress plugin? The answer is a resounding yes. I will pull up the information for you to be able to see, for you to be able to contact us. But if you want, I will send the WhatsApp number and so forth there that you can contact us and you can get some more information. So we look at how that we can help the mom and pop shop. And this is really when we speak and we make a clear distinction between financial inclusion and financial access. It's like having a bread and bringing it in the public square and said, listen, everybody can eat. But how realistic is it? Can you really bite of it? And this is what we bring to the marketplace. Not only we give the merchants the ability to be able to have the mobile wallet and the users, but also make it simplistic and very easy for them to be able to actually download it and use it. And we say to the grandmothers and grandfathers, if you can use WhatsApp, you can use Mlaja. And a lot of them are doing selfie videos, so we know definitely that they can. But one of the things that really give us immense joy and pride is that when we look at the mom and pop shops, we look at the guys, the roadside vendors. And here's where we speak about financial inclusion and access. The roadside vendors, the bolos that have been on the side of the road selling hot dog for 20 plus years, the finest fragrance that have been on the road selling sweet fragrances for a number of years. And these persons may not have had the opportunity to register their businesses, but these persons can actually come to Mlaja, and we have what we call a self-declared merchant possibility for them, that we can onboard them and help them to transition towards a registered business. So really, really, really great stuff happening in Mlaja, and it really speaks of the bespoke services of what the credit union as a movement. And Mlaja, some people say, well, it's a Dominica thing. Yes, it is. It is Dominica raised and bred, and it is Dominica's gift to the Caribbean. And very soon we will be opening up to all of the other territories within the OACS, because we see this not just as another application, not just as another mobile wallet. We see this as a way to future-proof the credit union movement. How do we leverage digital technology? How do we leverage shared services as a collective to provide value-added services to the people we serve of the region? And as you probably know, Dominica, the credit unions in Dominica are responsible for more than 51% of lending in the retail financial sector. And we have a market penetration of over 95%. So credit unionism for us is not what we do, it's who we are. And this is a message that is resonated throughout the OACS and the Caribbean, and we're bringing greater hope. So some people say we're competing with Dcash. We see it as complementing, because Dcash and the Mlaja and all the other partners within the EC space are driven towards one single goal, which is enabling financial inclusion and access and bringing greater solutions. So we complement the work that is being done by the ECCB. We're excellent partners in this fight to drive down transactional costs, to increase financial inclusion and access, and to give hope to the average person that are not currently able to do that. We have a question from Matt. Can I transfer from my credit union account? Yes, now we have launched our CU online collection with the NCCU, so you can transfer funds from your CU online account. We'll publicize that a little later. And in a few days, we'll be launching our integrated system for which you can directly integrate with your credit union account to your Mlaja wallet. So these are things that we're already out there. We have a whole load of loyalty programs that you can share and so forth. We'll be announcing very shortly. By the time on this program, there are other important players in the market that need to get their message out. So I'll pull it from here. So really good. We're happy to be in this fight. We're happy to collaborate with Robbie and the Ministry of Digital Transformation, and with all of the critical players in the market space, so that we can drive financial inclusion and access. And yes, Helen, we're talking to a lot of key remittance partners in the region to see how we're actually talking to Dcash too, about how we can collaborate on a greater scheme of things. So, it is really an opportunity. It is really an opportunity for us to see how, through collaboration, that we can help the entire people and the peoples of the OACS and the Caribbean by extension. So thank you for the space.
Thank you very much, Benfield. I had a question that someone had asked, but for some reason I'm forgetting. But that question actually goes to both Karina and yourself. You talked about ease, but a lot of time companies are concerned about the cost. So many people have said, something, I'm not jumping on board on this because traditionally the banks are charging me 4% per transaction. And when I do the calculations, that can actually pay a staff member. So my question to the two of you, obviously, ladies first, what is the cost of doing such transactions from a merchant standpoint? And then after to you, Benfield.
Okay, thanks for the question. And again, it was remiss of me. So we are in the pilot phase, and from whether it be the merchant end, whether it be the consumer end, any transaction with Dcash on our Dcash platform, it attracts no transaction fees. We are committed post-pilot because of the concerns, because of the transaction costs and their implications for businesses, especially small businesses. The ECCB is committed to ensuring that if at all any fees have to be imposed for usage, they are competitive and they are a minimal fee, if at all. So at present, and for the duration of the pilot, there are absolutely no transaction fees. And in our analysis, once we have completed the pilot and we understand where its utility lie, etc., we have consulted with our stakeholders in modeling what Dcash looks like post-pilot. Our commitment is that if any fees at all have to be attached, they are minimal and that they will allow for the fullest participation of ordinary ECCU citizens and residents, as well as businesses.
Thank you very much for that, Phoenix.
Yes, absolutely. There are a couple of things that we mentioned. Well, I see Helen asked a question. We have a question in terms of the KYC, and then we have a question in terms of the cost. Now, I would speak with envy from my colleagues at ECCB. We don't print money, so we charge a very small and very minimal fee because our users understand that we run a business, and our fees to merchant. Actually, for the consumer side, it is free to use because we're also in pilot mode. So the consumers do not pay any fee except for the cash out function, because we provide incentives to our agent by way of commission. So that has to come from somewhere. And our users understand that we are in a business. It's not a social entity. We may have a social mission, but we're in a business because we have to pay staff, and they understand. But our charges are less than a third of what is currently being offered by mainstream financial institution. So it is not a very taxing. In fact, some of the business are asking us why we don't charge more, because what we understand is that people are willing to pay for value, not just to have a particular service, but they want to make demands. They want to ensure that when they have an issue and they send a message to Aml, or they ask for support, that support is present, and people are willing to pay a premium, because we ask the questions. For example, people go on similar platforms like, for example, PayPal, and they would pay 13 and 15% without even blinking, simply because they want to pay for a premium service. So the critical case here is about a premium service, and we are not just providing another wallet solution. We are providing a premium service to the usership, and our merchants and our users can attest to that in terms of support and service delivery, we are number one in that. So that is where it is. As I see Aliana asking the question, on the consumer side, there are no fees attached except for where you do a cash out, and when you do the cash out, you will see the fees there on your receipt. In terms of the mom and pop shop, that is a critical part. We have made it very easy without flaunting any rules. We've made it very easy for mom and pop shops to use a business. As I said, we have the registered business, and we have what we call the self-registered business, which are like the mom and pop shop. So what we ask you to do is bring in a couple pieces of things. If you're a registered business, you bring in your certificate of registration, you bring in if you're depending on if you're a partnership or a limited liability company, you bring in your articles of incorporation, you bring in your ID, if you have a government issued ID, a proof of address, which is really a utility bill, or for example, if you're a small business and you don't pay utility, but you have a rental agreement with the landowner, you can also bring in that rental agreement to us, and we accept that. And so really, it's the registration documents for your enterprise, the proof of address, proof of address, and your license, and you fill out our application form. And businesses can actually be launched in less than 3 hours. So once you have all of this document in place, we can set you up and have you up and going in very short time. It doesn't take us a lot once we have the documents. Now, for those who do not have registered entities, we put you as what we call self-declared merchant. So you've been around for a while. So we use your home address as your qualifying identity. As your qualifying proof of address. So we use whatever you have, a bill payment or something for your home, and then we use your ID along with if you have a logo or so forth, and then we register you. But what we do along the way, we encourage you to actually register your business with the intellectual properties department, where you can actually register the name of the business and then move forward to actually registering your business. But we understand that some businesses are finding it difficult to do so because of financial restraints, or sometimes because at the time they need to go and do that, they need to be on the roadside selling. So we understand that crystal clear, and that's why we provide that avenue. So the registration process for us is very simple. We can do it online. You do not need to walk into our offices. You can send us a WhatsApp message and we'll coordinate with you to get it. You can email us your document. We have other secure links that we can send to you to get those documents, and we can do the registration purely online. So you do not need to come into us. We provide remote training and onboarding for you remotely as well.
Great stuff. Thank you very much, Phoenix. Karina, would you like to just chime in terms of the small organizations, or from a business standpoint, how does one sign up for, or how easy it is for someone to sign up with DCash? Sorry.
Okay, so for the merchants who would like to open a DCash wallet, the simplest route is via your participating financial institution who would already have your KYC information. And again, I think we're taking it for granted. You know your customer information on file. And so it would simply be downloading the app, applying to the financial institution through the app for a code which will allow you to activate the wallet.
Okay, just for clarity, some persons are asking that it seems there might be a two-step process that they apply and then the bank has to get back to them. But it seems sometimes maybe they don't get back to them quickly enough. So I'm not sure if you can just clarify the process properly, so at least the person knows who to, and also who can they call if there's any issues.
So we do have the contact information available on all our social media pages. If you do need additional assistance, you can email to us, and I can share the email address here at dcashcp@eccb/centralbank.org. Other than that, you can reach out to us via any of our social media pages, which we actively monitor. In respect of the application itself, so you apply through app, and this is Danny. When you apply through app, you have the drop-down menu, which allows you to identify your financial institution. You may then send them either an email or through their secured messaging service, requesting the approval of your application and the release of the codes to you from our service level agreements. We expect a turnaround time from financial institutions to these requests for FI codes of no more than 48 hours. Of course, because we are in the pilot phase, we have not integrated the DCash platform with the bank's core business systems. And so this is one part of the process that still requires some human or manual interaction. And so what we have been noticing is that the time frame for responses from the FIs, notwithstanding that we have the standard of 48 hours maximum, we are noticing some variations among the financial institutions. And so this information that you are providing is very helpful to us. And we can always, in this case, I think you would be signing up with National Bank. And so we can always follow up on your behalf to ensure that what what the holdup is and ensuring that you can have your wallet activated. So thanks for the question.
Sure. Thank you very much for that. On this note, we would like to introduce Shady Samuel. She is the CEO of Quick Delivery. So it's not only we have these amazing apps, but that can be used to make payments. We also have companies in Dominica that can allow you to provide what we call frictionless service. You can call upon them, you can go through the app, you can pay them in different ways, and you can use them to actually get stuff delivered to you right at your home. So I would just like her to introduce her company, introduce her payment gateways that she uses, and she made us be able to provide some insight as to some of the trends that she's seeing right now, what people are using, and maybe certain suggestions as to how we can get more people to use the cashless wallets. So Shadi, the floor is yours.
Good night again, everybody. I'm happy to be here to shed some light on the situation. Just to introduce Quick Delivery, my baby. We're a local logistics company, and we provide delivery services for your favorite meals from your favorite restaurants, groceries, propane, pharmaceuticals, and so much more. You crave it, we deliver it. We've been in operations for over 3 years with partners like We Church, Astafans, and Perky's Pizza. We're supporting persons locally and internationally. So essentially, you crave it, we deliver it, right? We started, like I said, about 3 years ago. And when we started, we were a cash-only operation, and we've been moving towards cashless operations ever since. So tonight, I'm going to highlight how we started, what were some mistakes we made along the way, what we actually offer now, and what we'd like to see moving forward. So initially, we did a lot of research locally. We went to all of the banks, and it felt like pulling teeth in a sense. The information wasn't readily available. And when it comes to a delivery service, when your margins are pretty small, just to give an example, if Robbie is going to order a pizza from Perky's and I'm delivering it to his office, that charges about $8, right? And the margins on that is already small. So when I was looking for a payment processor that all customers could use, I also needed to take into consideration the bottom line, right? And so when we did some research locally, the banks had high processing fees, and not only that, they also had monthly fees. And that's just not something we were willing to take on at the time. And then when you're a small business, or when you're a business and you are trying to facilitate orders, you probably end up doing some unorthodox stuff. We were in situations where I use my personal accounts to support payments, and you never want to be in a situation where you're using your personal accounts to support transactions. It is an accounting disaster, and it's just not a good business practice. Yeah. And so I Googled and I YouTubed and I really tried to see how we could move this along very quickly. And I was happy with what I found. So right now we currently offer NBD Mobile Banking, Mlash, Dcash, Zelle, PayPal, Apple Pay, Google Pay, credit card, or debit card, and PayPal, right? And in order for us to do that, for a lot of these online payments, and I'm referring to these off-island payments, we actually had to register a business in the US. So there are platforms online that will support you registering your business, like Inc Authority. I would recommend that you do more research, because there are platforms and service providers that give you a greater bundle. And we utilized Inc Authority. They helped us set up our LLC. So I have a Quick Cart Delivery Service LLC. And with that, I was able to create my official Quick Cart Delivery Service PayPal and my Quick Cart Delivery Service account on Payments. Payments is a Black-owned payment processor in the US. And they allow us to accept Apple Pay, Google Pay, credit card, and debit card. So most of our international online transactions actually go through payments. Now, with all that in mind, you have to think about your bottom line. So of course, it's an investment when you actually start this process. It does take some time. And I would urge everyone to do their research. So, for example, by using Inc. Authority, they did not bundle doing my taxes. So when you sign up for or you create your business in the States, you also have to file your taxes. And with them, they filed in Pennsylvania, and Pennsylvania had 10% state taxes. So you have to pay your taxes in Dominica, you have to pay your taxes in the state, and then on top of paying your taxes in the state, you still have to pay your 10% state taxes, right? And there are other platforms, like I'm saying, that have a package bundled in to actually support the payment of your taxes. So I had to go through an external party to support paying my taxes, right? So like I said, research is very, very important. Take your time, understand what it is that you're doing, know what your bottom line is, and take the time to go through the information. The next thing too is when you create an account in the States, and we actually use Mercury Bank, which allows us to move our money around without having to actually go to the States and register in person and all of that. When you have your account in the States, it's not readily available locally. So I am looking forward to Emlaja and Dcash to making this very much accessible and easier for all the businesses here, because it is very difficult to get this done in Dominica, right? So the money is not readily available. So you have your yearly fee for registering your business with the platform that supported registering your business. You have your taxes in the States, as well as your taxes in Dominica, whatever country you are in. And if you, like me, that went with Inc. Authority in the first place, you have additional state taxes, and then you have to find an external party to file your taxes. Yeah. So I really am truly looking forward to Emlaja and Dcash for making API integration possible on island. And not only that, but having the cash available. So for example, with having our accounts in the States, that money is not easily accessible or accessible to me one time, right? So we use TransferWise to get the money down here, and that takes about a day. There is a charge. It's not so significant, but it's a charge nonetheless, right? So when you calculate all the charges at the end of the year, you really know what you're dealing with. So like I said, I'm looking forward to Emlaja and Dcash. With this, we will be, within the next month, Quick Delivery will be launching our highly anticipated Quick Delivery apps, and we will be supporting online payments, right? And that will include PayPal, credit card, debit card. And I would be looking forward to having Emlaja and another option for Dcash on there, so that people can make their payments without cutting into my bottom line. As a business owner, it is difficult, and I will tell you why. It is costly to make it convenient for customers. The information, when you go through the banks or you are searching online, it's not very easy to find. It's not readily available. So I am looking forward to more conversations like these. I'm looking forward to I don't know, an outreach to all these businesses to let them know, hey, this is available. I know a lot of businesses who would appreciate or have been trying to integrate online payment processors to their local sites. API integration is very important to businesses like me, and we're also partnered with ShopDM, and that's also very important to them. Yeah. So again, I'm very happy to be here to speak on the struggles of operating here, and I look forward to conversing with Emlaja and Dcash on how we can collaborate before we launch our app, and what that will look like in terms of the dollars and cents.
Thank you very much, Shady. Thank you for your honest information, and I'm sure that the current payment platforms that are here, and hopefully other financial institutions that are listening, will understand the importance of providing these facilities to companies, because you are correct. The cost is very prohibitive. It's cutting into your bottom lines. The work that's also involved. There's no one wants to not pay U.S. taxes, and then you end up in Puerto Rico, and then you end up in shackles. So I feel the pain, and even I, as someone who has dabbled in some of that, those are some of the reasons why I just said, something, I am not ready to take that risk. In terms of opening companies in the US and have to deal with this thing. So I was really happy to hear from Dcash and also from Aml in terms of the e-commerce aspects of it. And it's very important that it needs to be easy for the average mom and pop. And I don't even want to say mom and pop. As a former minister of tourism, the person braiding hair on the bayfront should be able to accept payments and not have to have any major issues. They should be able to, like you're saying, it's a tiered system to ensure that we prevent money laundering and ensure that we know these different things. So it can be tiered in such a way that such persons, it makes it accessible to them. And like you're saying, the cost of transactions is going to be a big thing. Very importantly, Karina mentioned that, and that's where even the option of other companies coming in and creating certain apps now that can track your spend, tie it up into some kind of accounting software. So when you go to the bank for a loan, you have clean, authenticated information in terms of getting your loans and stuff like that. So the possibilities are truly endless as it comes to that. So on that note, we've gone way past our time, but I would ask each person to give some final comments. So we'll start off with Helen. Not hearing. Hold on a second. Let me just make sure I am not the one. Okay, I will unmute you also. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you. I'm sorry about that.
My apologies.
Not too many remarks from me. It's been fascinating to hear and hear more and learn more about the products that are available here in Dominica, between Dcash and also Aml, and then also the experiences of Kyc in being able to set yourself up to utilize these digital payments. And so I think from the global perspective and the perspective of UN, I'm certainly encouraged to see that the revolution or the digitization of payments is really starting to take hold through new and innovative ways, be it through digital currency or mobile wallets linked to your credit union's account, and hope to see more of that. And as some of you know, I recently moved to Port of Spain to coordinate this financial inclusion program, which is an EU-funded program implemented by the UNCDF and which is signed off by the Organization of African, Caribbean, Pacific States. And we focus specifically on financial inclusion. So certainly I encourage anyone on the call and off to feel free to reach out to ever talk shop about financial inclusion, as we have a few different facilities ranging between technical assistance and investments to help to try to scale elements and encouraging promising innovations for financial inclusion across the Eastern Caribbean. Thank you so much for the opportunity to present.
So Helen, thank you very much. And I must say we have a very good working relationship with the UNDP. They were actually one of the organizations that assisted us in terms of creating our digital strategy. So thank you very much for that. And I'm very happy. And I know you and I have had discussions on the whole issue of financial inclusion. And we really look forward to your visit in Dominica, where we can speak with all of the various organizations, DIIC, DHTA, Small Business, DYBT, to ensure that we can put together some type of program that will help us to speed up that process of our businesses being able to use it. And at the same time, we have to make sure that our people are better able to and understand it. So thank you very much for that. On that note, your final comments from Karina from the ECCB. And
Thanks, Robert. And again, thank you for facilitating these types of conversations. They're needed and they're helpful in helping to demystify an area, a topic that even if it doesn't cause your eyes to glaze over, it, invokes some skepticism, some, doubts. And so thank you for this conversation. Listening to Shade's experience, it kind of reinforces why this area, how do we improve financial services, their accessibility and delivery to persons in the region. It's not an esoteric topic, it's not an academic topic, but it's really tied into our day-to-day lived experiences. And as we head into a period of global economic tightening, it becomes even more incumbent on us to really drive the reduction in costs, whether it be the costs of holding cash, the costs attached to having additional employees for the purposes of processing cash, the costs attached to ensuring that your business remains competitive and is part of the growing digital economy. And part of answering these questions is finding homegrown solutions. And so when I listen to Phoenix, and I listen to the developments in the Bahamas with the Sand Dollar, as well as the Jamaican CBDC, Central Bank Digital Currency, JAMDEX, which is also in its pilot phase, it's heartening. And so the next natural evolution of these discussions will be how can we get these platforms and systems to interoperate so that we're all not operating in silos. And if you throw your mind back and you remember when, was it Motorola, and you had the various messaging platforms, and each were self-contained. Eventually, the demands of the markets required that there be some interoperability, some standardization. And very soon, we will have to get to that stage because the Caribbean itself as a region, we interact with the wider globe. So we need to be able to have these platforms here, but the usability is enhanced when we establish connections, when we ensure that there is convertibility between currencies, when we ensure that persons can utilize Dcash as a platform, and it leads to more innovative uses of financial technology. So, for instance, I think every one of us, Mlajan and Dcash right now is primarily to facilitate payments. But within some time, we can see innovations being built upon these platforms, which will also support the growth of the innovative services in the Caribbean, including investment opportunities, utilizing Dcash, Mlajan, and other money solutions beyond just facilitating payments. So these are welcome developments. And again, Roger, Helen, Phoenix, thank you. Shade, thank you for allowing me to participate.
Thank you very much, Karina. Like they say, this device that we walk around with in our hands, the first thing we wake up to, besides maybe saying good morning to our wife or lifting the Bible, most people, this is the first and the last thing that they touch. And this is the bank. This is the new bank. Your device is actually the bank, and persons just overlay services over them. So things are going to change drastically. And what the government is trying to do is to ensure that we educate our people. So please continue listening. Please share this. It seems very long, but we really encourage persons to share it with other persons who did not get the opportunity, and especially business persons. We really like you to share it with them. So final words from you, Shady. I know you have some very interesting ideas in terms of how do we get our users to gravitate to it. And we know in the Caribbean, we love to party. So final words from you.
Rob, you're taking it away from me. So, first of all, thank you for allowing me to participate and inviting me. I'm looking forward to working with Dcash and Mlaja, not just for quick delivery, but in terms of supporting their initiatives that will be driving our digital economy. Prior to this call, Robbie and I had we had a conversation, and I had a few ideas, not only to drive merchants, but also to drive consumers. So by partnering with the event coordinators, um, ahead of time, persons going to the events would be able to download these apps and actually make their purchases from their phones without having to actually give cash and wait for a change and all these different things, right? So I do have a bit of ideas, and I'm looking forward to having a conversation with you guys. Be on the lookout for our highly anticipated quick delivery app. And of course, I'm hoping that Emerge and Dcash will be integrated as well. Everyone, a good night, and I'm looking forward to those conversations.
Thank you very much, Shady. Thank you very much, Karina. Thank you very much, Benfield. Thank you very much, Helen. A fantastic
Hey,
presentation.
come on, Robbie. You're not gonna do me like that. You're not
What's
gonna
that?
do me like that. You're not gonna give me my
Phoenix
5 minutes,
hasn't
are you?
given his 5 minutes.
I didn't.
No, no, no. You see,
My apologies. My
I
apologies.
suspected
My
quick.
apologies. The floor is yours.
I suspected quick delivery already delivered your meal, so you're quite fine.
My apologies. My apologies.
When
Please.
when you said your phone is the first and the last thing you wake up to, I was gonna say a silent prayer for you tonight because I know the couch was gonna take you. But just to say, and I mean, we're heartened by. I mean, thanks for the contributions of the fellow panelists, Karina and Helen, and also Sad and yourself, Robert. Great deal of wisdom as to why we're here, and there is no real intent to happen a business if it's not to improve the lives and livelihoods of the people we serve, and that is why we entered into this fray of things because we wanted to look at the help the homegrown businesses, particularly businesses like quick delivery and the other local solutions that are popping up. And one of the things that has been the cornerstone as to why we embarked on this MLAJA journey, it's really in developing what we call communities of spaces, which is really allow those small tech startups. We have an established RESTful API that is available to any and anyone that you can develop your technology and integrate with MLAJA payment solutions. So this is a conversation I'll be having first thing with Shadi tomorrow to see how we can integrate, get my developers on team one time, because we want to, by the time she is ready to launch, MLAJA is already integrated into the quick delivery app. So we wanted to partner with these solutions because we alone can't do it. MLAJA alone cannot do it. Dcash alone cannot do it. It is an entire ecosystem. As we used to say, a village raises a child. And it is really when you have responsible financial service providers coming together with this common good to help the smaller businesses, to help the larger businesses as well, and to provide them with a more cost-effective solutions. And every time I heard Chadi mention about the different costs that she has to incur to go the extra mile to provide a service, my skin grows. And that is why we're gonna take away all of that headache from her and provide her with the MLAJA experience. So she wouldn't have to wait 2 weeks to get her money. The very next day, the money is in her NBD account, or if she has a credit union account, in the next hour. so
You're
we are
speaking my
going to
language.
we're going to take care of that headache for you, and so that you can focus on delivering our bites to Robbie Thong, so you wouldn't do me what he did earlier tonight. So really grateful, we're happy, and again thankful for the deposit of confidence in the credit union movement that we've been around 60 plus years to serve the population of Dominica and by extension the Caribbean. And again, this is just another expression on behalf of the league and the credit union movement as to how we can provide added value. So we're really heartened by the level of support. People call us the 8:45 p.m. support wallet, because you can call it, you can message us at the middle of the night on WhatsApp. Not that I'm encouraging it, but really it attests to the level of support that you can get from MLAJA. And this is really key. So we're really happy, and we'll continue to support the work of the government. I mean, we're already in conversation with the government regarding G2P, G2C systems, because when we look at, for example, when the payments were made to the farmers at 8 Bank and that long line in the sun, with just a click and our what we call the bulk transfers that we have, you can, in a matter of seconds, you can pay hundreds of farmers and other social beneficiaries. at the same time. So we're looking forward to working with the government of Dominica and also the ministry, also by extension, and all the other governments in the region, including the ECCB, to see how through interoperability we can continue to provide great service to the people.
Thank you very much, Benfield. Thank you very much to all of the participants. The challenge, obviously, is that we have the technologies already in Dominica and throughout the Caribbean. I think the bigger challenge now that we all have, and I say we, is to ensure that more people understand the systems and more people begin to use the systems. And I think most of us are also into marketing, so we also know that by having one presentation like this, and playing it once or twice will not be sufficient. So I truly look forward to your continued support to having other programs like this about this again, because only certain people have heard it and other people need to hear it. So again, thank you very much. Thank you for all the time that you've taken to be here, and have a wonderful evening.